The opponents of Medicare for All, which include centrist Democrats and Republicans, have spent giant sums of money in an effort to defeat the proposal. Now, this is a huge problem because when you go to the progressive end of the spectrum, there is relatively little money spent to combat those ads. This was a wonderful piece written by Daniel Morans over at Huffington Post. I highly recommend you follow him on Twitter and read this entire report yourselves, but I'll give you the highlights. So through the reporting, we found that the Partnership for America's Healthcare Future, an industry front group representing private health insurers, hospitals, and pharmaceutical companies, has spent at least $1 million in television advertisements blasting the policy in Iowa alone. It is also ghostwriting anti-Medicare for All op-eds for state lawmakers, according to a Washington Post report. We actually talked about that story recently on TYT. And so I want to show you an example of one of the ads that they're airing. And again, they spent over $1 million in television ads in Iowa alone, and that is significant. Take a look.
We come from different walks of life.
But we agree on one important thing.
We don't want to be forced into a one-size-fits-all government insurance system.
The politicians may call it Medicare for All, Medicare buy-in, or the public option.
But they mean the same thing. Higher taxes or higher premiums.
Lower quality care.
Politicians and bureaucrats in control of our health care.
We can't afford one-size-fits-all plans.
We need to fix what's broken, not start over.
Notice that they mentioned higher taxes and higher premiums. Medicare for All would wipe away premiums. It would wipe away premiums, deductibles, co-pays. None of that stuff would exist. Yes, your taxes will go up a little bit if you're middle class, but you wouldn't have to deal with any type of cost at the point of care.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to how Biden and Buttigieg are basically working with Republicans here on this issue, and it's devastating. But that ad, it's everything that's wrong with politics in America. They allow money in politics, so private interests just get to do endless ads to trick you. That everything in that ad was a lie, down to the guy drinking that drink in the background. These are all actors, obviously, right?
And good job noticing that guy.
Yeah, no, because they're like, oh, let's try to make it realistic. And in a later scene, he does it again, and a woman jogs by. They're like, oh, this looks like real America. No, these are all paid actors having nothing to do with any of that. There she is, okay? And oh, look, I'm going into my family's little laundry room, and I got the raincoats of my lovely kids, etc. Now you know that overall, but it works. It makes people think it's real. So what are the important lies? So as Anna pointed out, there are no premiums in Medicare for All. 100% lie. And they run it all over TV as if it isn't a lie. There are no premiums in Medicare for All. There are no co-pays, there are no deductibles. And then they say lower coverage, in essence. No, that's not remotely true. Even opponents of Medicare for All, like Senator Michael Bennet, has admitted it is the Cadillac plan. It is, quote, awesome coverage. It gives you better coverage than all of the private insurance in this country. When they say one size fits all, okay, oh, it's just one size. Now you get dental and you get vision and you get everything covered and you can go to any doctor or any hospital. God, I hate that one size fits all. What do you mean? It gives you all of that coverage, and yes, it costs less. Everything is a lie in that ad. They do it on purpose. Why? It's paid by the insurance companies.
Exactly.
Who rip you off and want to keep on ripping you off and charging those premiums. And the reason they give you less coverage is because they want to maximize profit. That's less cost to them. And if you die in the meanwhile, that doesn't affect their bottom line at all.
Look, I don't do this often, but since there's such a disproportionate amount of anti-Medicare for All advertising out there right now, please share this video. Share it on all your social media platforms, share it with your friends, your family, everyone you can, because we need to fight back aggressively. Look, it doesn't matter if they're lying, right? If there isn't the other side challenging those lies, calling out those lies, and unfortunately, progressives don't have the same resources as these giant corporations who are looking to protect their profits. That's really what's happening at the heart of this story.
I gotta say one more quick thing before we give you more details. Look, there are 4 different people that are fighting, as you're gonna see here, all against us. So there's the Republicans, there's the insurance companies, there's the corporate Democrats, and then most importantly, there's the media. So every time you see a reporter saying that it takes away your private insurance, they're leaving out the second half of the sentence. and replaces it with better insurance with expanded coverage. They're doing that on purpose because they're all lying to you. And who are their major advertisers? Health insurance companies, politicians and political groups, and drug companies. All of the media in unison are absolutely positively lying to you. If you challenge them and you say, wait, when you say we get rid of private insurance, does that mean I'll have no insurance? They'll be forced to admit, well, I mean, you would have insurance. Would it have less coverage? Well, no, it would have more coverage.
Right.
All right, that's what I thought. You're all goddamn liars. That's why I'm telling you, share the video, because you're not gonna get the real facts anywhere else. And wherever you are, challenge them. Join the TYT Army, do whatever you gotta do. Challenge reporters in your area and nationally. Tell the truth, you get better insurance. It's a fact.
So let me give you some more details on the different organizations that are funding the anti-Medicare for All ads. In June, One Nation, a super PAC tied to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, announced a $4 million TV, radio, and digital advertising campaign blasting Medicare for All. A 30-second TV ad produced by the group features Americans holding signs with the length of hypocritical wait time, hypothetical wait times for medical procedures under a single payer system. So I want to show you an example of that ad and then we'll discuss. Take a quick look.
How long will you wait for care? In other countries with socialized health care, patients wait weeks, even months for treatment. Everyone forced into the same government plan, no matter how serious. Medicare for All would eliminate private insurance for 180 million people. You and every American waiting in the same government-run plan. How long will you wait?
All right, more lies. So first of all, under this current system, we have monstrous waits. Last year I tried to get a checkup, 4-week wait. A family member of mine had a very serious brain issue where he had severe pain in his head, and he had it in the past and it was very dangerous. They told him 3-week wait. That's private insurance. Private insurance. Oh, you might die? 3-week wait. I had James Thompson on the show recently. He's a Justice Democrat that ran in Kansas. He's got stage 4 cancer. There's a group in Denver that knows how to operate on it and can get it out. His private insurance says, no, it's out of network. You'll have to pay for that treatment on your own. We're not gonna give it to you. And if you don't like it, you should go ahead and die.
Hey guys, isn't it great to have all this choice with private insurance companies?
What a great choice. Your choice are, you could stay in our network and die, or we'll bankrupt you. Besides which, you don't have the money. You're not gonna be able to pay it. So you don't have any goddamn choice at all. In Medicare for All, you could choose any doctor, any hospital. These are all nonstop lies by the people ripping us off.
So I want to move on to the progressive response to this because in the article written by Daniel Morans, there was a progressive member of Congress who wished to speak anonymously. And I actually take issue with that. I don't know who this person is, but please, for the love of God, and I know some people, including progressives, aren't gonna like this phrase, I don't care, grow a set of balls and fight, right? Like if we're not gonna have fighters in like the progressive group, then like we have no chance. We don't have the money. We're supposed to have the people, so you need to fight. Don't hide who you are. It's pathetic. Anyway.
I'll tell you why in a second. Go ahead, read the quote.
All right, so here's the response. Someone needs to go into Iowa and answer those ads. We win the argument when we talk about people dying and people going bankrupt because of the insurance greed and pharmaceuticals. And so, look, okay, maybe there's a good reason why this person isn't identifying themselves. I agree with the sentiment here, and we do need to fight, but it's rich to say that we need to fight when you're anonymous in this article.
When you're hiding. So I'll tell you why they do that, because God forbid anyone should offend Nancy Pelosi, because the world will come down on them. And so even the progressives, even the best fighters we have been cowed, because why? If you say anything critical of Nancy Pelosi, and I know this to be a fact, I've experienced it myself, it's not even the other corporate Democrats. Yes, they do it. They're like, how dare you, are so offensive. I can't believe you're causing lack of unity. You are just the rudest, most offensive person there is. I've seen it, not just to me. I've seen people gaslit like that in Congress, okay? But it's the worst yet is the media. All the reporters then attack in unison. Oh my God, this person, they're hurting the Democratic Party. Can you believe they said something that offends the other Democrats who are trying to torpedo Medicare for All? So look, I said on social media the other day, look, 45,000 people a year die because they don't have insurance. Now, we have public fire departments in this country. If we had private fire insurance and we let 45,000 people a year burn to death, it would be the most monstrous thing you ever heard. But we let 45,000 people a year die. And who is against Medicare for all? Nancy Pelosi is. And everybody lost their minds. That is a fact. It is an indisputable fact. And 81% of Democratic voters want Medicare for all. Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic leadership don't, and Joe Biden doesn't, and Buttigieg doesn't. They defy 81% of the voters. We are right, they are wrong on what the Democratic voters want. But the reporters do not care about the voters. They care about kissing the ass of the powerful. No, Uygur, red alert, Uygur says something against the beloved Nancy Pelosi. All the corrupt reporters rush at once to defend her.
No, it's actually pretty incredible how well organized corporate media is in responding in an effort to defend Pelosi and the establishment. It's incredible, right? And so it goes back to something that I've said on the show before recently. Mainstream press is not journalism. It's just an extension of corporate America. It's an extension of corporate candidates and corporate establishment Democrats. That's what they are. And it's pathetic because they're not serving the people. They are supposed to be the watchdogs, and that is not what they're doing here. They're going after the watchdogs, and aggressively so, in an orchestrated way. So with that said, I do want to move on to the progressive candidates, namely Bernie Sanders, who I of course have endorsed. I have the most respect for, and I hope he wins the Democratic nomination. But Bernie, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because he has outraised everyone. He has raised the most money, and of course, small dollar donors in this Democratic primary, but his ads don't go after the falsehoods that are being repeated over and over again by centrist Democrats and Republicans. What are you doing? What are you spending your money on? So let me tell you exactly what's going on. Sanders mentions Medicare for all briefly in an ad about his history fighting for progressive policies, and another about his plans to fight corruption. That's not good enough. I know that Bernie Sanders doesn't like to fight dirty. I get that, right? But you can be aggressive, it's okay, because they're lying about you and they're lying about your signature policy that this country desperately needs. No,
we've entered a vicious cycle. So even though Medicare for all still polls at a majority, 55% of all Americans, 81% of Democrats, 64% of independents, but it is lower than it used to be. And it's now about at least 10 to 15 points lower because it was at 70%. So I know it for a fact. When it first came out, it was 70%. It's 15 points lower. So when pollsters and consultants see that, they warn candidates like Bernie Sanders, we've entered a vicious cycle where you are less likely to get elected if you defend Medicare for all. So then that forces progressives into not talking about it, but the other side pours on. So it creates no defense at all. So, and all it has is offense. Now I want to talk about that group that spent the $4 million. You know who it's run by? It's run by McConnell's former chief of staff.
Yeah.
So, and it's a McConnell-backed PAC. So Mitch McConnell is spending money in the Democratic primaries, not himself, but this PAC that's aligned to him, to help Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg, the candidates against Medicare for all. Buttigieg is spending his own money, spending a ton of money. And in the ads, he also attacks Medicare for all. So look, you think it's an uncomfortable fact, and reporters, you love Buttigieg and you're biased. See, we're not biased, we just criticize Bernie Sanders. You guys don't admit your perspective at all, and so you cover for them. But the reality is, Buttigieg and McConnell and Biden all agree. They all hate Medicare for all. They're all against 81% of Democratic voters. Every one of those things that I just said is a fact. But once you tell reporters that, oh my God, you should see the tears. How could you say that about my beloved Buttigieg and Biden? Just because they're running almost the same ads that the insurance companies are running. Just as deceptive. And yes, those PACs are connected to McConnell. Yes, that's a fact, right? But it's an inconvenient fact that we're trying to bury because we're the corporate media. So if you're a Democrat, do not get suckered into believing the liars in the corporate media and the corporate Democrats who are working with Republican and corporate interests to deny you health care. Do not let those 45,000 people a year die because they don't have insurance, let alone the people who don't get treatment because it costs too damn much. And that is a giant number. And by the way, not only that, not only our lives are on the line, but our pocketbooks too. We all get bankrupt, right? If we had a major problem, you're wiped out, right? And you lose your house, you lose everything. But every year, even if you don't hit a major problem, an average family of 4 spends over $12,000 a year on healthcare. And Medicare for All would take that away. So lies on top of lies, and there is no money, there's not enough money to counteract it. And so sometimes you see us almost screaming at the top of our lungs because we're trying to scream past all of the propaganda that these moneyed interests are doing, including, yes, the corporate Democrats.